Hey guys, it's Logan. This week I'm going to go over an article. I chose an article, Hardening of the Attitudes Americans View on the Death Penalty. So let's get started here. The death penalty it's a very controversial, very sensitive issue. It basically is, uh, it's been debatable and debated time in, time and again. The interesting thing about this article is that it kind of touches a lot of aspects that I never thought were, or never thought or really truly thought about. The interesting thing, kind of giving you a synopsis of the article I read, is that men tend to be more favored of the death penalty than women. Basically, and I can see that on multiple levels. It also breaks it down to kind of racial difference with different races. Whites tend to be more favor of that than African Americans. Again, that's kind of debatable as well. I know in where I'm at currently in California, being a very liberal state, they're not for the death penalty. I know for a fact California has roughly 734 active death row inmates that are currently waiting execution. But going back to this article here, it was interesting with this article. It broke it down into what constitutes a death punishment, what constitutes kind of like a crime. Politicians, elections also have paid kind of a. You've seen it kind of creep into that as well, and you still kind of see that depending on where you are throughout the United States and whatnot. It kind of also touches base too on a very interesting topic too that I knew a little bit about, but I didn't know a whole lot. Inmates that are on death row, it costs a lot of money. And this article really breaks that down and shows that it's actually cheaper to have an inmate that is has a life sentence rather than the death penalty. The reason being, the death penalty, you have a lot of appeals process that it can go through. It's a lot of time consuming as well, and just the cost from appeals to housing the inmate to multiple different legal fees and dressing the inmate properly, that all adds up. If you didn't do that, again, depending on the state that you live in, I know in California, reading on the California.gov information here, it is about you'd be saving roughly a little over like $90,000 a year on just housing alone, which I found interesting. And I knew that, but I didn't know exactly of that. But again, that's kind of controversial in the sense because I'm a firm believer an eye for an eye type of thing. But again, that going on to a different issue there. Another interesting thing too here is that going back to what should be constituted by like a death penalty. Again, this article touched really good on it. At the time, during I believe it was 1970, feminists were making a push for it, and that's what this article said. And so you saw feminists who, obviously rape is a horrible thing, but if they were to have raped, basically that should have been constituted as a death penalty. I don't think that's the case now. Maybe, again, certain different things, but still, it was roughly from what the article says. Terrorism, all sorts of different things kind of constituted as a death penalty. And that's kind of still a touchy area. Does this really constitute for a death penalty? One thing I found that was interesting was that most people prefer a death penalty that allows decision making. There should be more of a precise and logical reason as to why the person is being sentenced to that. And yeah, that's kind of what the article is here. And yeah, thank you.